This is the 10th issue to the series of Returning to Father's Principle. Hello, this is Alethea Nails. Our name is Greek for Temple of Truth, and truth in Greek originally means having the secret revealed. Returning to Father's Principle is expressing our hope that we can return back to the principle because the current reality of the movement is distant from True Father. The topic of today's issue is true parents are not just the true parents of the Unification Church. They are the true parents for all humankind. How does everyone feel about this theme? People like us who have studied the principle have received True Father as the second advent of the Messiah, and True Mother as the Holy Spirit. They have walked the path of indemnity, and they have opened the path to salvation to save all of us. Many may think that it's obvious and believe without a doubt that true parents are the true parents for all humankind. The Divine Principle also discusses this idea in this way. Quote, "The Messiah comes as the true parent of humanity, because only He can remove the original sin by giving rebirth to humanity, born of fallen parents. For fallen people to be restored to their original state, we must receive the Messiah. We are precisely the substantial beings of Satan who are born from fallen parents. We are born carrying the lineage of Satan, and this problem with lineage is something that we cannot solve by ourselves. Changing the lineage is impossible unless we receive the true parents as the Messiah and go through rebirth." Let's look at one of Father's speeches. Quote, "God is beyond the doctrine of a religious organization or a party. God's purpose is for the salvation of all humankind, and His purpose is not about saving one particular race or followers of a particular religion. We cannot help God with bringing salvation to the world unless we, the people of religion, end the struggles and conflicts of enemies." End of quote. God is the parent of humankind, and His purpose of the providence of restoration is for the salvation of all humanity. It is not just my religious organization. Religious people stand in the position to end all the conflicts and battles between enemies. If we cannot do this, we cannot aid in helping God fulfill the purpose of the providence of restoration. For the flyer series of this issue, Returning to Father's Principle, is summarized in this way. God's ideal of creation is to create a substantial human being, give unto them the human portion of responsibility, and perfect love. God's desire is to complete the kingdom of heaven on earth, and the kingdom of heaven in heaven with human beings. The fall of the first human ancestors, Adam and Eve, however, created hell on earth and hell in heaven that is nowhere similar to God's ideal. The multiplication of God's true lineage that was supposed to be created from the creation of true life from true love instead became a multiplication of Satan's false lineage from the creation of false life from false love. God sent the Messiah, or the true parents, to change this lineage. We must fulfill the ideal of one family under God who shares the same blood lineage with God by receiving the true parents. If this is what we are supposed to do, principally speaking, then how should the actions of labeling people who think differently as a religious faction or cutting all ties with these people be considered as? Are we not people who have received the true parents as our parents? Is this an action that the true parents of humankind would do? From the perspective of Shimjang, or heart, let us consider the parable of the prodigal son. The son who returned, wasting all of his money in reckless living, with nothing left, was welcomed back with open arms by his father. The father expressed his joy of his son's return when he explained it to his first son. We had to celebrate and be happy because your brother was dead, and now he is alive. He was lost, but he has been found. Is this not what a parent-child relationship is? If a parent will joyfully welcome back the return of even a prodigal son, then how gravely will the value of true father be lowered if the people who love true father, the herd that believes in him, is being expelled by the people who also love true father dearly. Doing this is only making true father, who is originally supposed to be the true parents of humankind, a father who is only a part of an organization called the Unification Church. As seen from the parable of the prodigal son, a parent's 심정 is always having the child as their object of love, regardless of how the child may act. A parent's heart is wanting to forgive everything. God was placed in the deepest pits of sadness as he watched the first human ancestors, Adam and Eve, fall. According to True Father, he said, quote, God invested all of himself in his creation. He did not reserve even 1 ounce of energy. Creation was his total labor, his total effort of giving all of himself. When God put his entire heart and soul into the creation of his object, he was investing 100% of himself. End of quote. In terms of human beings, to do something like God is to invest our own lives. God created human beings by investing all of himself. God long awaited for his object of love, and he longed for a child who resembled him. With this eternal desire of God, how much pain, sadness, and suffering must have God felt when the first human ancestors, Adam and Eve, were being taken by Satan and committing the fall in front of him. But God could not abandon humankind. No matter how much of a miserable position God must appear in, he believes that we will fulfill our human portion of responsibility and seeks for us. God has searched and searched, spending months and years for over 6,000 years. True Father completely inherited God's 심정, and True Father's goal in life is spoken of in the speech, the cosmic assembly for the settlement of the true parents of heaven, earth, and humankind, and for the proclamation of the word by God's substantial self. True Father spoke, throughout my life, I have offered myself for the liberation of God, the one and only true parent of heaven and earth, to restore to him his rightful position as parent, to save all human beings who suffer in the realm of death, and to return them to God's bosom. This issue's theme is true parents are not just the true parents of the Unification Church. They are the true parents for all humankind. True Father said, I wanted to be a friend of the anguishing God. True Father desired to liberate and offer complete freedom to the suffering God. In order to do so, True Father could not just leave fallen human beings who were created as God's children to continue suffering in hell. True Father knew that the only way to open the path for God's liberation is to save humankind. True Father led a life opening the path of salvation to humankind who do not know God or sin. Without question, true parents are the true parents of all humankind, and all of humankind is the children of the true parents. The true parents have the heart of wanting to bring every single human being to the kingdom of heaven and live together with God. True parents neglected their own selves, their own families, and offered everything to leave behind God's will, which was none other than my salvation, the salvation of humankind. Let us have a heart of gratitude together for true parents and unite as one to realize one family under God. We hope that everyone can have a heart of humility and study with us True Father's teachings. Thank you for watching.